You are about to listen to a free portion of the Young Turks. To podcast the complete show, sign up for membership at tytnetwork.com/membership.
Welcome to the Young Turks. Huge show ahead for you guys. Romney's back, and he's attacking a fellow Republican. You know who it is. It's Trump. Trump versus Romney. I guess round one, kind of round two. And then Hillary versus a youth activist who asked her about her super predators lines in a super awkward video. That's awesome. Okay. Really interesting. I'm going to bring that to you in the next segment. Don't miss that one. Did they do the right thing here? This young black activist who challenged Hillary Clinton. I will give you the word on that. And then in the second hour, a young black kid goes to college in California, of all places, and they put a Confederate flag in his room, and they put a bike lock on his neck. They call him 3/5. Not a hate crime. Why is it not a hate crime? Man, we live in a crazy world, man. What would it take for it to be a hate crime? All right, so that is in the second hour. Don't miss that story. So now let's get started. Start with a couple of light ones and then a super important one here in the first segment. Oh, poor Jeb Bush. One last. Give me a break. Give me a break. So Jeb Bush spent a lot of money and got his ass kicked and dropped out of the race after South Carolina. Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah. Down goes Jeb. Down goes Jeb. That's for that. All right, now you know Jeb couldn't fix it. He just had to tell his donors, though. It's funny, man. He went to apologize. I'm going to tell you exactly what he said in a second. But he didn't go to apologize to his voters, because there weren't any, right? Or to the country or anyone else. No, he immediately went rushing to his donors. I'm so sorry. Please don't give up on me next time. I'll beg even more for your money. If there is ever a next time, love the picture going around on the internet of Jeb Bush with one child left behind. So he says to his donors, quote, "I'm sorry that it didn't turn out the way that I intended," and then added, "Come on, give me a break." No, he didn't say that. Okay. He went on to say, "When I launched the campaign in front of 3,000 or 4,000 people in Miami, I anticipated a different result." Well, that's for sure. So how much money had he raised from the donors? $116 million. That's just right to Rise USA. It's actually more than that when you consider all the different PACs and super PACs and his own campaign. But we're being generous here and kind to Jeb by saying just $116 million. So how many delegates did that buy him? 4 measly delegates. That's all he won between the 3 states that he competed in, Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. That is a miserable performance. So how much is that per delegate? $29 million per delegate. Okay, so with that in mind, I think he's actually right to apologize to his donors. Boy, did he waste their money. And at the end, he had to go, "They're kicking me off the stage. They're kicking me off." Oh. Come on. Give me a break. All right, so that's the last of Jeb Bush. Sad day for him. Okay, we move forward. Isn't that funny? I mean, that's it. Jeb Bush, the number one in our pre-rankings, coming in, everyone's a favorite. And then when he goes out so softly, so meekly that you hardly even notice. Oh, that's so wonderfully sad. Okay, now, speaking of wonderfully sad, we go to Ben Carson. Ben Carson giving a speech. Believe it or not, he's still in the race. He hasn't woken up yet, okay, but he's still in the race. He said, quote, "I believe that things are starting to happen here." Where? He hasn't come anywhere near the top 3 in any of the races. He's down to around 5 to 7% at most in any of these elections. He's going nowhere, and he's getting there slowly. So what's there to be excited about, Dr. Carson? Well, he's going to tell us.
And I believe that things are starting to happen here. I know the pundits and the political class, they want to call everything, and they say it's all done, it's all over, we may as well go home and do the coronation now. But you know what? I believe that they're wrong. I believe people are already starting to wake up. I'm seeing it everywhere I go. And it's just a matter of time before they start demanding answers and they start demanding solutions. Because right now we're sort of in the ancient Rome stage where everybody wanted to go to the Colosseum and, oh, bring on the lions and the tigers and let's see them eat the people. You know, I mean, this was cool. This was what they wanted while Rome was burning. And, you know, right now we're in that stage, okay? But we have a bunch of fire extinguishers. And we are going to put the fire out, and we are going to put the fire in our bellies. You know?
What? Okay, so first of all, people are getting on him for the Roman Colosseum. I'm actually going to pardon him for that. The minute he said, let's go to ancient Rome, I was like, oh, this is going to be good, right? But people are quoting him as saying, let's bring in the lions and tigers, let's see them eat the eagle, which would have been a great quote because, you know, the eagle does have one thing that he could fly away from the Colosseum. But to be fair to Ben Carson, you just saw that tape. He didn't say eagle. He said eat the people, okay? And people who used to fight the lions in the Colosseum. Okay, but the last part was fantastic. I'm going to quote it for you again. This is graphic 23. But we have a bunch of fire extinguishers. We are going to put the fire out and then put the fire in our bellies. What does that mean, dude? What does that mean? Put that fire out over there and then put it in. Oh, it's already out. How are we going to put it in our bellies? Get out of the race already, man. I know you're trying to sell books, but this is even embarrassing by your standards. Okay. Man, did you see some blinks in there? I mean, he broke some records with blinks in the middle of that tape. There was one I counted like 3 seconds. He was like, I want to meet the people. Okay, now I got great news for you guys. Let's go to the next story. Okay. Oh, I love this story. Frank Luntz, top GOP pollster, has got a poll out that he calls, you're going to love the terminology here. It's polling young people in America. He says the young in America are, quote, terrifyingly liberal. That's at least the headline from The Intercept. Let me give you the exact quotes from Frank Luntz himself. Americans 18 to 26 are extremely liberal, so liberal that, quote, the hostility of young Americans to the underpinnings of the American economy and the American government should frighten every business and political leader. Okay, now, I love his framing. He's a Republican, right? The hostility of young Americans towards business interests. It's got us scared. Oh, they're running scared. Okay. Now, the reality is we're not hostile to business interests. We're hostile to people rigging the system in favor of crony capitalism. The ones that pour all the money into politics, buy all the politicians, and then rig the rules in their favor and kill the free market. That's what we're hostile to, right? And we're hostile to that rigged system that has created enormous income inequality and not created more wealth, but extracted that wealth and put it in the pockets of the 0.01% who rigged that system. So if you think we're hostile to that, you're goddamn right we are. So they do not like this news. Now wait till you see who the leader of the revolution is. Bernie Sanders. Okay, look at this. Most liked and respected political figure by millennials. 31% Bernie Sanders. Barack Obama only has 18%. And he's at number 2. Hillary Clinton's at number 3 at 11%. Donald Trump is the first Republican to show up at 9%. Now, let me give you a couple more figures here, and then I'll tell you what it all means. George W. Bush comes in at a pathetic 5%. Ted Cruz, same. Bill Clinton, all the way down to 3%. They've forgotten who he is. And Elizabeth Warren with a surprisingly low 2%. So, boy, Bernie Sanders has captured the imagination of the young people in this country. And the degree to which he is more popular than Barack Obama is surprising, I'm sure, to the mainstream and to the establishment media. It is not surprising to us. But even so, 31-18. Wow, he's walloping him. But second interesting note, the top three there, who are all Democrats, equal 60%. You get to three people with 60% combined favorability here, most liked and respected, before you get to any Republican. Well, also interesting, Bernie Sanders beating the top Republican, Donald Trump, 31-9, more than tripling him, right? But Hillary Clinton with only an 11-9 lead over Donald Trump. Interesting. Okay. Now, to give you a sense of how Bernie Sanders, how popular he is, let's go to even non-political figures. That was for politics. With Beyonce and Taylor Swift and stuff, what is he going to come in third or fourth? That'd be amazing. Wrong! Number one! Obama's still number two. Bill Gates, interestingly, number three. Then you get to Ellen, Jennifer Lawrence, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Oprah, then down to Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. So, and that's among 18 to 21-year-olds. He's more popular than Beyonce. Okay, feel the burn. Certainly the young do. Now let's go to not just political figures, but to ideology and what young people in America think. 58% of respondents said they agreed more with the statement, America isn't better or worse than most other countries, than with America is exceptional. It's better than every other country in the world. So, again, we win. Sorry, but it's true. We've been saying this all along. Now, it's not that we don't love America. We do. And actually, the young were shockingly optimistic. Again, not expected by the older class. I'm not surprised by it. So it's not like they're doom and gloom and they're really bummed about the state of America. They're just saying, well, look, let's be reasonable and rational here. Why are we, we're exceptional, we're number one, we're better than everybody else. No, they're a more logical, more educated demographic that says, no, we're number 37 in healthcare. So obviously some people have figured that out better. Germany has an economy that's roaring, and part of the reason is they have labor on the boards of the companies. Well, that creates a system where they actually care about their employees and want to make sure that people don't get fired. Now, look, I don't know that everyone in that demographic knows every one of those facts, but they do know overall, and this is 58% is very significant. They're saying, yeah, no, I get it. America's great, but there are other countries that are great too. Don't be ridiculous with this whole America's exceptional talk, right? And so Republicans hate this because that's their go-to move. We can invade any country we like because we're exceptional. We don't have to follow the rules. Well, young people aren't buying that and see it for the obvious nonsense that it is. Now, look at this one. Which type of political system do you think is the most compassionate? 58% said socialism. 9% said capitalism. And let me tell you one more fact about that. No. And just 33% chose capitalism. Now, I know that the question is a little skewed, right? It's asking you what system is the most compassionate, right? Not necessarily one that is better. Nonetheless, 58 to 33 in favor of socialism among the young. Republican hair is on fire. They're like, oh my God, terrifyingly liberal. What has happened here? Well, what's happened is they're not being spoon-fed propaganda from your chosen medium, which is television. You bought all the TV networks. They're all enormously conservative. They all are enormously pro-establishment. They are the establishment. Propaganda, the Pentagon is awesome. When has CNN ever said the Pentagon lied? When? Never, right? Unbelievable. So, no, they're propaganda, all these guys. And so, but it's all right because young people don't have TVs anymore. So once they're liberated from that and can get actual information from the internet, turns out they make smart choices and are not going along the lines that the Republicans want them to. More amazing facts. More young Americans declared that the most pressing issue facing America today is income inequality than anything else. Income inequality was followed by education, specifically its cost. Respondents said they most respect nurses and doctors, followed by teachers and soldiers. The least respected professions are bankers at 2%, real estate agents at 2%, elected officials at 4%, and business leaders at 6%. Okay. So they think their teachers are great. But you hear from the mainstream media all the time, oh, the teacher unions. The real problem is the teachers. Young people are like, are you mental? Why would the real problem be the teachers? Did the teachers crash the economy? No, the bankers crashed the economy. What are you picking on teachers for? But you see, again, That's because they missed all the ads against teachers unions on television. They missed all the propaganda and the talking points from the Republicans on television, right? So once you take the propaganda out, turns out people make great decisions, logical ones. And income inequality, of course, is an enormous issue. The cost of their education, they're all saddled with enormous amounts of debts, a lot of them hundreds of thousands of dollars in debts because of their student loans. Yeah, that's a bit of a pressing issue for them. And if you don't get that, you're really dense. So finally, this might be my favorite, 66% of the poll's respondents said corporate America, quote, embodies everything that is wrong about America. Ho-ho! Game, set, and match. Now, of course, the Republican Party is powered by corporate America. It's actually a misnomer. It's not corporate America. It's multinational corporations. Their shareholders are from all over the world. Their executives are from all over the world. And they have no patriotism. They're robots. So the young understand that because they're smarter. They got actual information from online. They know corporations are amoral machines. They're not looking out for American interests. That's preposterous. If you believe that, you just don't understand the issues at all, which would describe most of the, unfortunately, older generation that has been brainwashed by television ads and television news networks owned by giant corporations. Now, is a giant corporation going to tell you that corporations are not good? Or that corporations, it's not a matter of being good or evil, as I said, they're amoral. That corporations might be buying off politicians, or that corporations might want to rig the rules in their favor. That corporations are actually thrilled with income inequality because they're the benefactors. Their executives are the benefactors of that income inequality. Well, of course they're not going to tell you that. And they're the ones who own all the TV stations and all the media outlets. But lucky for America, the younger generation isn't watching that crap. By the way, to give you a sense of what they might be watching, this past January, so just last month, according to ComScore, which actually way undercounts us because they don't count mobile. Most of our viewers are on mobile. But nonetheless, despite that, Young Turks, among news viewers online of videos, in the 13 to 24-year bracket, okay, 13 to 24-year-olds, we were 51% of all views. All other media companies combined were 49%. We lapped the field. Now, our views match exactly with the younger demographic. We've been around 10 years. I don't know, did we affect this in some way? I hope to God we did. Even if we had 5%, 1% effect, fantastic. I couldn't be happier. Makes my life worth living, okay? Even if we had nothing to do with it, maybe we got really, really lucky, and it turns out our views happen to match this younger generation's perfectly. Either way, we look like we're in pretty good shape, and the country now looks like it's in pretty good shape because the next generation is smart, and they have all the information. TV, Republicans, the establishment, it was nice knowing you. Though not really. Young Turks. All right, back on the Young Turks. Ana Kasparian, Cenk Uger, a bunch of great stories for you guys. Disconcerting one we're going to start with in a second about how a young black kid was treated in college. First, just a couple of tweets for you guys. Paulie Sinatra writes in, thanks for giving us actual news and not that BS crap you see on TV. At least you guys are not robots. Well, thank you, Paulie. That's because we did it my way.
What is wrong?
Sinatra. Anyway. All right.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Chuka.
Sounded just like him.
Jackham writes in, imagine after months of obstruction, President Bernie Sanders appointing Larry Lessig to the Supreme Court. I would like to imagine that. Candy Graham for Mongo writes, I would give up sex for life if Cenk could be elected president. Hashtag Cenko Unchained. Hashtag elbow from the sky.
What's wrong with you?
No.
There's no way I would give up sex for that.
Okay.
Love you, Cenk, but there's no way.
My question is, what is right with you? That is right, Candy. God bless your heart. Okay. Now, finally, El Duende Chingon says he's going to fill the Uger cabinet. He says Michael Schur for press secretary, Jimmy Dore for drug czar, and Wes Clark for Secretary of State. Man, that would be a badass cabinet. Could you imagine it? First day, we roll it out. Well, in Jimmy's case, literally. I would like to nominate, I don't have to nominate him, I get to just pick him if I'm the president. Your new drug czar, everybody, Jimmy Dore. Hey, Jimmy, what are you going to do with the war on drugs? End it. End of this. It's done. Let's move on with our lives. Okay, could you imagine? All right. I'm going to, by the way, also normalize relations with Cuba. President Obama's on his way to do that anyway. Give him credit for that. When are you going to do that? Oh, yeah, I did it yesterday. Forgot to tell you. We're moving on.
Wait, with the story?
No, I'm just saying, like, all the things that are 50-year failures. Mm-hmm. Okay, I normalized relations with Cuba. When did you do it? I did it yesterday.
Yeah.
I just forgot to tell you guys in the press.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're moving on. We've normalized relations. Fly there anytime you like. What's next?
Cubans in Miami are so pissed about that, by the way.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
No, you know when they'll get over it? In a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
They'll certainly be over by the time the 4-year Uyghur presidency is done.
Will they get over it, though? I mean, they almost killed you in that Elian Gonzalez protest. I feel like when they feel passionately about something, they're real passionate.
That's true. I forgot my history with Cuban Americans. And here we are again, me fighting with Cuban Americans like Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. Mm-hmm. By the way, I love Cubans. I got nothing against them.
Yeah, I love Cubans too.
I
love them every night.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You do have a strong track record on that.
Yes.
All right, we move forward.
All right. An all-white jury failed to convict 3 white students of a hate crime after they were found to abuse one of their black classmates / dorm mate. Now, Donald Williams Jr. was the victim in this case, and the victim dates back to 2013, where 7 of his white dorm mates were involved in various acts against him, one involving a U-shaped bike lock that was placed around his neck and left there for 5 minutes straight. Now, 3 white students at California's San Jose State University skated by with only misdemeanor battery charges after putting a bike lock around a black student's neck, attempting to lock him in a closet and referring to him as 3/5 of a person, among other harassments that a jury ultimately concluded were not hate crimes. Now, what they did conclude was these were just pranks gone awry and nothing more than that.
Okay, it should be noted, by the way, that he's claustrophobic. So putting him in a closet is not like, I just put my frat brother in a closet. He has a significant issue with that. And number 2, he's not your frat brother. So these pranks were unsolicited and were not returned. So it wasn't like, he did a prank on me, I did a prank on him. He got a little out of control, right? Mm-hmm. No, he's, 3 years younger than them. All they did was pranks on him that included, by the way, also putting up the Confederate flag.
Yeah, so they put the Confederate flag in the common room of their dorm suite. And no one really knew about what was going on until his parents came to visit him, and they noticed that there was the Confederate flag and there was also a whiteboard that featured the N-word and swastikas. That doesn't sound like a prank to me. That sounds like you're trying to make a statement against the one and only black student there. Now, keep in mind that the population of black students at this particular campus is only 3%. And when students found out about this, they were outraged. And you would think that there would be some sort of justice, but the jury, again, ultimately decided that the only thing that these 3 students were guilty of was misdemeanor battery charges. Now, they'll be sentenced in March, and the most amount of time that they'll serve behind bars is 6 months. However, keep in mind that they don't have a criminal record, and with the absence of hate crime charges or hate crime convictions, they're likely to get away with just community service.
Now, they were kicked out of the school, and it should be noted, by the way, the jury that decided they were not guilty of hate crimes. To be fair, there was how many blacks on the jury, Anna?
0.
Oh, right, 0. All 12 people on the jury were white. Okay, now, so that goes to the heart of this issue. Guys, when I read this story, I was so incredulous. I came to Anna and said, give me a couple more stories on this. What is going on? This is crazy. Mm-hmm. How can this, put the Confederate flag up. You call him, that's 3/5. His 2 nicknames are 3/5
and fraction.
Okay? And then you, on top of all this racial stuff, then you chain him up. Okay? If this is not a hate crime, what's a hate crime? And I was like, maybe it was. Maybe they were pledging the same fraternity and it got out of hand and these knucklehead young guys didn't realize you can do other things, but you don't go racial, right? Mm-hmm. But no, that was not the case. They were not bros. They weren't pledging anything. He didn't do anything to them back. All this was enormous intimidation. And then on top of that, in case you were unclear about the level of racial animus here, in a BS like apology to him, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to get us in trouble. They wrote a mocking letter from the beloved Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, they tried to make it or pass it off as an apology letter. It was not an apology letter. It was mocking Martin Luther King Jr. It was meant to be sarcastic. It was absolutely ridiculous. And look, this story, I think, is a perfect example of what we're talking about when we say that white privilege exists. That is not a denial of anyone's hard work or struggle in life. This is a perfect example of how certain people in this country get the benefit of the doubt. Now, let's say the roles were reversed, right? Let's say you have black students doing this to one white student. Do you think anyone's going to say, oh, this is just a prank gone awry? No, what they would say is, look at these thugs. Look at what they're doing on this college campus. Look at this hostile educational environment that they've created for this white student. They would not get the benefit of the doubt. You are white, you get the benefit of the doubt. People will assume that you're innocent before proven guilty, right?
Okay, so let me prove that out for you guys. I think Anna's exactly right on this. First of all, even the Washington Post, which had a very good article on this otherwise, described this as pranks. They put it in quotes. Now, I know that the defendants described it as pranks too, but they said it was a series of hijinks. Hijinks. Okay. Now, why did they say that? Did they say it out of animus? I don't think so. I think that when that jury, let's leave the Post out of it for now, but that jury looks at those young white kids and they think, there but for the grace of God goes my knucklehead son, right? And oh God, they were probably doing a prank. Are we really going to hate crimes a bit much, right? Now, it's not because they're bad people. It's just because they empathize with the guy they see that looks like them, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Anna's right. Flip it. Here, I'll give you more specific examples. Imagine they put up a sign of the new Black Panther Party, right?
Imagine they just play Beyonce's music video over and over again.
Okay.
And Super Bowl performance.
Yeah, I mean, the conservatives are so touchy about the Beyonce thing. Wow, yeah. Right? No, they put up a sign, new Black Panther Party. They start calling them, hey, white boy, okay? Come here and do what we tell you to do, white boy. Oh, wait. Make it a girl. A white girl, and then they put a lock on her neck, right? And then they trap her in a closet. 5 or 3, I should be saying, apples. 3 black guys do that. Here's what Fox News would do. The Black Panther Party is back. Look at what they're doing to poor white girls on campuses. Campuses have become this liberal place where white people are being enslaved. You think they'd call it hijinks? I'll give you one more example. Now, again, this is not white-black, just a totally different example to give you a sense of when we wouldn't call it hijinks. Mm-hmm. Imagine it's a poor Jewish student, and they put this a swastika. Well, in this case, they did put up a swastika, but they put up a swastika, and then they put a Star of David on him, and then they, lock him up in the same way. Would anybody call it hijinks? It's so funny, that joke, that they made about Hitler and they put a star on him. Nobody would think that. But when it's a white kid, 3 white kids who do it to a black kid, oh, come on. But there, for the grace of God, goes my son. Not guilty, right? Guilty on, what are you going to say? Not guilty on the assault? They assaulted him when they put the lock on him. That is indisputable.
I know.
But they gave the most minor charge they possibly could.
And that's another thing. Let's say someone wants to make the argument, no, you know what, this isn't considered a hate crime, which I disagree with you 100%. But the fact that they didn't even get assault charges, right? Battery. They got a misdemeanor battery charge.
Yeah.
You're forcibly putting a lock around the neck of a student. And not only did they successfully do that once, they attempted to do it a second time. And Williams fought back. They got into a scuffle and he, prevented it from happening. But they're obviously physically abusing him. And on top of that, using racial slurs against him, creating this hostile environment for him on a campus. It's disgusting. And it just shows me that in so many cases, justice fails to be served. And look, imagine how his parents feel, Cenk. Like, just imagine if that was your kid, and in the end, there's no justice, and you're supposed to sit back and just take it.
Yeah. No. You're supposed to go further. You're supposed to forgive them immediately. Now, whenever a black person does a crime, nobody talks about forgiving. Nobody. Whenever any person of color does a crime, nobody talks about forgiving, right? The minute a white kid shoots up and kills 9 black people in a church. Let's forgive. Let's forgive. Make sure you forgive. Okay? The judge who asked the black families to forgive that shooter in South Carolina, again, he wasn't a bad guy. I even looked into his history. Not a bad guy. Generally on the right side of things. Okay? It's just and that's the definition of white privilege, and that's what Anna's trying to point out to you. White privilege is something you don't see. Right? It doesn't mean you're rich and famous. It doesn't mean you get all the breaks. Just that you don't see how many breaks are taken away from African Americans, how much injustice they have to suffer that you never even see.
Right.
So don't get mad when somebody points it out. Open your eyes and go, oh man, that sucks. That's true. If it was done to me, I'd be pretty pissed. And maybe we could all work together to make it better.
Exactly. All right, moving on. A woman who was imprisoned in South Carolina for 27 hours died as a result of severe dehydration. This is a 50-year-old by the name of Joyce Cornell, and she had a warrant out for her arrest because she failed to pay a court fine involving a shoplifting case. Now, Cornell was being treated for a stomach illness at Roper Hospital when she was arrested on an outstanding bench warrant related to a shoplifting charge in 2011. She spent the last 27 hours of her life behind bars. During that time, she became too sick to eat or call for help, according to court documents filed this week. She vomited all night and couldn't make it to a bathroom, so jailers gave her a trash bag. Some medical staffers ignored the jail officials' request to tend to her, the documents allege. So she was being treated for a gastrointestinal issue in the hospital, which leads to severe dehydration. And that was when authorities arrested her, took her to jail, and didn't give her the proper medical treatment to ensure that she wouldn't die. They also failed to give her the water that she needed to make sure that she didn't die.
Now, to be fair to the jail officials, they actually requested medical help. The people who appear to be at fault here is the medical staff at the jail.
Yes, the Carolina Center for Occupational Health. It's a third party that's contracted by the jail.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. So contracting it out. Yeah, they probably won't care about their profits, right? They'll probably want to just make sure that the prisoners are okay.
Totally.
Probably, right. Except in this case, they didn't care at all. So they're saying, hey, look, man, it's not like people that are taking care of these jails throughout the country, especially in South Carolina, sorry, but it's true, are known for being overly compassionate. When the jail staff says, hey, man, we got an issue here, man, you really got to come here and take care of her, and you don't come, that's a special breed of negligence, right? And one that should have legal consequences. I mean, now we've gotten to a point where people are dying of thirst in the country. Of course, it's an unusual case. We know she was sick. It's not like they just left her in a cell and she just died of thirst 4 days later. But the minute you step into a cell, you don't lose your rights as a human being. And in fact, you have constitutional protections. You must be treated for medical problems that you have. But unfortunately, the real underlying problem here is one that we've talked about often, which is that as a society, we've gotten to a dark place where we think, who cares? Just once they're in prison, they're not really humans. Put them in isolation for years on end, kick the crap out of them, drag them around. How many videos have we seen of them, of people dragging somebody around prison and beating them to near death? And in this case, she's dies of thirst, she's dehydration.
Look, she's seen as a throwaway. And this is a perfect case where people will brush it under the rug and not really care because they see her as a criminal. They see her as nothing more than a shoplifter who's poor. By the way, there was a warrant out for arrest because she stopped paying the fine, right? The court fine. What is someone supposed to do when they're poor and they can't afford it? Right? Like, so you're poor, you can't afford it. I get it. What she did was absolutely wrong. You should not shoplift. There should be consequences for that. But if you're unable to pay that fine, does it help the situation to just throw poor people in prison? Because what that really does is it eats away at our resources, right? And it doesn't solve the problem in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, so by the way, she could have gotten a prison sentence for the shoplifting, but she didn't, right? So they decided that the fine was the appropriate way to go. And she was paying that fine for quite some time. But does it help if you put her in prison? How's she going to continue to pay the fine? She will, A, have no ability to pay the fine when she's in prison, and B, then you'll put something on her record, and then she won't be able to get a job when she gets out, and will continue to accrue even more fines.
And again, it's counterproductive because taxpayer money is being used to imprison her. So what are you trying to achieve by doing it? I think there should be consequences, whether it's community service or something else. But the whole way this situation was handled makes absolutely no sense.
And there'll be gross people online who will see this video and who will say, oh, she had it coming. She shouldn't have shoplifted then. Okay, no, we don't execute people for shoplifting. I know some of you who are right-wingers in the audience are barbarians, and you'd like to murder people at whim, and then talk ironically about an oppressive government. You think the government should be able to kill people or not treat them when they're on the verge of death because they shoplifted, but you tell me you're worried about big government. No, apparently you love big oppressive government. So straighten your ideology out before you come making these dumbass comments. So unfortunately, another American passes away today, and everybody moves on with their lives because once you go to prison, nobody cares about you.
Yeah. All right. Donald Trump will soon have to give a deposition in a case involving the now defunct Trump University, which allegedly defrauded students of tens of thousands of dollars. Now, the lawsuit revolves around the school Trump launched back in 2005, promising to turn anyone into a successful real estate investor, but which former students now say was little more than a bad infomercial that scammed them out of $60,000 for a bad seminar in a hotel ballroom. Now, there are two class action lawsuits, one of which was filed in New York. Trump actually lost that one, and pretty soon he'll have to pay fines as a result of that. Now, the one that we're talking about today is in California. The lead plaintiff, Tarla Makif, a California yoga instructor, has accused Trump of threatening to ruin her financially for bringing the suit.
It sounds like him.
Now, what essentially happened is there were ads featuring Trump himself promising students something that they didn't actually get. They didn't get a degree. It is not an accredited institution. And at the end, it was all about scamming the students out of money. In fact, New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman also has sued Trump, alleging in a $40 million lawsuit in 2013 that the university was never accredited, awarded no degrees, and was essentially an elaborate bait and switch. The Attorney General said Trump appeared in advertisements making false promises that persuaded more than 5,000 people around the country, including 600 New Yorkers, to spend tens of thousands of dollars they couldn't afford for lessons they never even got.
Okay. Again, there'll be Trump supporters who say, oh, yeah, those idiots, they should have known better. And that doesn't excuse your lying to them and cheating them out of their money. That's still against the law, right? You can't just call yourself a university if you're not a university. There are laws on that. And so that is part of what Schneiderman used in the case in New York. And in order to call yourself a university, you have to be accredited. He's not. So they've now changed the name into like Trump Entrepreneur Initiative or something like that.
Yep.
Because they realize that's illegal. And then, okay, I guess if you're proud of yourself for succoring people, okay, congratulations to you. But it's not a decent thing to do to be like, oh, yeah, you're going to make so much money. And you know what? Who does that? A scam artist, right? Oh, come on in here, a hustler, right? Like, oh, yeah. Oh, if you just pay me $60,000, you're going to make even more. And then, just kidding. I'm just going to give you a 40-minute speech at a ballroom and tell you to go, piss off.
Well, the whole point of the so-called seminar was to continue upselling the students. So let me give you some more examples of what they did. Now, the playbook prepared for Trump University seminars in Texas in 2009 might be summed up by one word: sell. Or, as the playbook puts on its page 23, sell, sell, sell. The playbook posits a minimum sale goal of $72,500 per seminar, meaning that the seminar leaders needed to convince at least 20% of attendees to sign up for a 3-day seminar costing nearly $1,500. Apparently, as soon as the attendees entered the registration area, the song "For the Love of Money" by the OJs greeted them. It's incredible. You're playing with these students' emotions. You're making them think they're going to be rich, but you're giving them a product that's not going to make them successful whatsoever. This reeks of for-profit colleges, which is why this story really stood out to me. And it enrages me because it takes advantage of students that want a better opportunity for themselves.
No, but this is much worse than for-profit colleges. For-profit colleges at least are colleges, right? And yeah, they way overpromise on whether they're going to get you a job. And there's a ton of baits and switch. But in this case, this isn't a college. This isn't a university. It's a bunch of crappy seminars where they teach you same old trite stuff. Oh, yeah, you buy low, sell high. Oh, yeah, there's distressed property. You go in and you grab it, and with money you don't have, and then you sell it for a lot of profit later. That's not a university. That's not a college.
Yeah.
That's a three-ring circus.
By the way,
you know what they would do? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
They would set up the booths around the exits so that you couldn't leave without running into them. So they trap you on the way out and be like, all right, now let's upsell you. Okay, you want to go to the next seminar? But Trump isn't even here. What the hell is it called Trump University for? Oh, yeah, he'll be here later, though. Yeah, just don't trust us. If you keep buying these seminars, Trump will eventually show up. Oh, you poor son of bitches.
Does it really make sense to get business advice from a man who went bankrupt 4 different times?
But here's the thing that greatly amuses me about Trump supporters. So you brag, and they do it in defense of that. Oh yeah, he just took advantage of the laws, So he tricked those people into giving him money, and then he didn't pay him back. That's awesome. Wait, I thought the Republicans were all about pay your debts back, and they were yelling at people during the housing crisis. Oh, you took out a mortgage. You should have paid for it. And when Trump does it, oh, he's a smart businessman. Yeah, he screws over all his investors. Then on Trump University, they're like, oh, well, you shouldn't have paid him. You're a dummy. Of course he's going to screw you over. You're stupid. He's smart. And then, wait, what are you going to do? I'm going to vote for Trump, and then he's going to give me things that I want. Oh, right. You're the next sucker. You're going to vote for Trump, and he isn't going to give you anything you want. It's all in service of Trump, not you. You're just the next sucker.
It's a great place to end it. Let's take a break. When we come back, is it a bad thing if you choose the gender of your baby? A huge debate in the celebrity community when we come back.